If you have a choice between hard and soft, go soft. And if you have a choice between fast and slow, go slow.
But this book is revolutionary for anybody reading this because, like I said, it's not just about tunnels, it's about tunnels about life.
I've never said, and I don't claim, that I somehow rescued all the men. We were all together and we all believed that we could rescue 41 young kids out of a tunnel up in the Himalayas. And we did.
Welcome to the Creating Kinder Content Global podcast with me, Mallika Bajaj. I am honored to be joined by not just an author, but he is one. And it'll be rude if I don't use his own words. I'm going to quickly borrow some from his book and introduce you to it as well shortly before I introduce you to my guest today. But listen in carefully because you're listening to an expert. When you're building a tunnel, he says, you cannot simply take the equivalent of an enormous round drill bit and start cutting. Once you have penetrated a mountain, the top and the sides of the tunnel structure are subjected to extreme force. I struggle to find the words to describe just how intense that pressure is. Imagine trying to get an elephant to stand on an egg without cracking it. He ends this paragraph with, everything above and on either side of that sudden new void is pushing inwards quite naturally in a bid to refill the hole that you have just dug. And he's not necessarily talking just about the tunnels. It could probably speak to you about the darkness and the tunnels we all go through in our own life and our own journeys, where we're dying to find the light at the end of the tunnel. And if that's happening with you, you're in the right place because I'm joined with the expert who understands how tunnels are built, everything about them, and is also, maybe in his own words, the elephant, I think, who stood on an egg without cracking it to turn out to becoming Australia's real life hero, the man on the team that rescued 41 people from the tunnel that collapsed in Uttarkashi, which also just happens to be the highest tunnel in the world ever built at 10,000 feet, and only happens to be on the side the president of the International Tunnel Association, Arnold Dix, privileged to be in your company today. Cannot wait to dig into the tunnels of life. And without any further ado, if I could please request you to introduce yourself to my audience in 3 words that you think best describe you to begin with. I'm wearing the Aussie India support, yeah, but we'll get to that immediately after your introduction.
Playful, curious, and alive.
I support all three. I've witnessed to all of this. Okay, great. No, and can you share if these words were given to you when you were growing up, or are they learned from your own inner work and this journey that you're on?
It's really just what I think about myself, playful, because I don't take myself too seriously and I'm very childish. Curious, because I always investigating something and find the world so interesting. And alive, because that hurts a bit and I really like being alive. So playful, curious, and alive is me. And
I
not from
love
anyone else, just me.
Alive, I'm going to also take you to page 90 of your book while we build this podcast. We're going to have
Okay.
before we actually get there, can you share maybe an experience or a random act of kindness that you've probably experienced maybe early on, or just something that comes to your mind, Arnold, that has probably stayed in your subconscious mind and has been significantly impactful in your life?
It's such an awesome question. And you know, the truth of it is no. Actually, I can't think of any random act of kindness which has significantly impacted me. It's actually the opposite. It's been random acts of cruelty that have actually made me focus on why I don't want to be that guy. So
Great.
actually, it's the opposite. And it's such a good question you asked. And I'm sorry it's such a miserable answer, but yeah.
Great answer. I think it's as honest as it gets. And one of the kindest things you can do to people watching is be honest about how you're feeling. So, yeah.
That's me. Like I'm just straight up and down, and but I think that's okay. I think it's all right to learn the importance of kindness by being treated badly,
Yeah.
because it actually it actually reinforces the importance of being kind, and you have a choice. If people treat you badly, you can go, oh, that's a good role model. I'm going to be awful too. Or you can go, how about that's not me. That's not who I want to be. I'm going to be somebody else and make that choice. So I think that's okay.
Yeah, I love that. I absolutely resonate with it. So I'm glad you actually set the tone right, because it also explains why you're on the podcast with the questions that I have for you. Because a lot has happened to you that has not happened to other people. And there is a reason why I think you have found yourself in this, in the middle of this beautiful puzzle, and have had the kind of life you've had. Because a lot of people, contrary to popular belief, have one bad experience and they start replicating that from their neuro
Yeah,
subconscious mind. And you're an expert at also understanding quantum physics and all of that. So you understand how neurosciences, neurowiring, all of that works. But to be something that you are not happy with and to find a way out of that is, I think, really brave. So congratulations on building that for us.
thank you.
But right now, and I know that we're going to start off with the author bit, and I said that you're not just an author, which is true. I know that you've been deeply reflective about this mission, and you've also documented this entire process in this book. I've read this more and many a time. I swear, every time I read this, I think it's reading parts of me. But to say this confidently, I don't think you'll deny there is a pre India and a post Uttarkashi Arnold. You see how I've done India and Uttarkashi specifically? But
Yep.
on the creating kind of content, I'm going to request you for this particular question. I want the post Uttarkashi Arnold to answer. Visualize taking that call that you were at that dinner, which is before Uttarkashi, which you talk about. That Arnold has taken that call and then time travel through that tunnel, and tell me, does it ever surprise you how many moving parts had to come together to bring Arnold to where he is today?
Oh, does it surprise me? It's a miracle. Like it's beyond surprise because I know I'm going to take my glasses off because it's no good. I don't even want to look. I mean, I just because old Arnold knows that it always ends in death. Old Arnold knows that it always ends badly, but new Arnold, this one, whatever new Arnold is, I'm on the other side of what I think, and I declared at the time as being a miracle. And that was, how is it that so many people came together? Like I'm just one part of this big team, right? There's heaps and heaps of it, and somehow, almost, almost, I mean, magical is probably not the right word, but somehow we all work together as one beautiful big team, and I've never seen it before, ever, in all my decades of ugly experience of things going really horribly wrong. Never before have I seen such a incredibly diverse group of people come together from the army and the engineers and the coal board and the contractors and the cooks and the cleaners and the drivers and the like everybody, the villagers, the people growing the flowers, the family with the hotel. Somehow we were all together and we all believed that we could rescue 41 young kids out of a tunnel up in the Himalayas. And we did. So
And
100% this Arnold is sitting here going, oh my goodness. And that's why I've written the book, because I can't believe it. I mean, I know it's true, but I can't believe it.
I love that. And I'm really enjoying the whole understanding. So, look, I think a little bit of a brief background about my existence in Australia. You're from Australia and magic happens to you in India. It was the reverse for me. I found myself in Australia. So, I'm not actually surprised. I think there's a reason why this conversation is happening. But there were different languages, there's different conversations. You're the president of the International Tunnel Association. You have been in tunnels and evacuations, and or all these odd things are happening. Firstly, you're not speaking the language most people there are. You're the white guy, which is great.
Even more than white, I'm obviously pink. I'm worse than white. Like I'm plus sized pink guy up in the Himalayas with a don't even speak the language. That's me.
Then
100%.
there is fear. You find them in the most vulnerable human emotion space. Arnold, you're not alone. You're also your daughter's shoes play a really big part, and I don't want to put away everything here. But your daughter's shoes put huge pressure on wanting to be a great father. You suddenly also wanting to go back to survival and all that. Can you just walk or handhold me through? Arnold is not alone for the first time in this town. Is that safe to say? You're not alone. There's so much more, but what is it? What is
Yeah. Yeah, so it's and this is where Arnold, old Arnold, and Arnold, new Arnold have a bit of a collision. Well, not even really a collision. It's just not only don't I feel alone, I feel connected to everything. Connected. Like I don't know how else to, and maybe connected's not even the right word. Maybe there's not even a word in English for it. But I felt like I was connected to the mountain and sort of in a kind of a not like I was connected in a technical sense. I had the convergence data, the survey data, all the stuff that I do as my day-to-day thing as a scientist and engineer because I'm a mining engineer, so I know all that stuff. But more than that, I felt connected to the mountain. I felt some sensitivity to it. I kind of, in a way, I suppose, I felt its pain, and I felt a really odd connection to the men, the young men who are trapped on the other side, and I really felt for their parents because they're only young. They're always young, the men who get caught in these mines. So, and I felt connected to their parents, and I even, it's going to sound really odd, so I'll have to sneak up, right? I even felt connected to the trees and stuff when we were digging because we had to do this road up there, and I felt the pain of the trees because we had to dig through their roots and stuff, and that's not me. Like that's not the old Arnold. This is some other Arnold, and I felt that I was meant to be here. I've never said, and I don't claim, that I somehow rescued all the men. I don't, never said that. And in the book, there's a QR code at the back where I link to heaps and heaps of TV interviews. And the QR code actually links to a whole lot of the live interviews where I was always saying, we're a great team, we're all working together, we've got the best Indian engineers here, blah, 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 blah. Yep, that's the QR code. Because I wanted the readers to really see this is not a story that's being told that I'm imagining. This is real. And if anything, the narrative that's in that book, I've toned it down because if I actually wrote it fully how I feel, people would think I'm on drugs or something. So I kind of toned it down a bit. But if anyone explores the QR code at the end, they'll see me where I'm saying, oh, I've got this great team and this is what we're going to do and we're going to rescue all the men and we're not quite sure when, but I promise we're going to rescue them all and none of us are going to get hurt. And that's the new Arnold talking because the old Arnold would have said, we're doing our best and we've made 5 meters of progress today and we're reassessing the circumstances and we'd like to have another news conference in another 3 hours to update you. That's the old Arnold. Whereas the
Wow,
new
you're
Arnold saying,
thinking like that? Yeah, I love that though. I love that. Yeah.
yeah,
No, but I think I'm actually really grateful, Arnold, for like I think I've had the honor of also sharing this off camera. But I'm so honored to be in your presence today for the very pure reason that it's so brave for you to come out and share this absolutely delulu. Like you said, someone might actually read this book and be like, dude, this guy's on drugs. But the fact that I mean, I think I come from India and I see a lot of people witness but not be brave enough, sometimes not have the means to document it. But this book is revolutionary for anybody reading this because, like I said, it's not just about tunnels; it's about tunnels about life. And
yep,
we're going to go through it. But I'm grateful that you've been able to put these experiences for anyone who thinks they're out there alone, having that awakening and having this out of body experience. Because we'll get to that. We'll get to that right after. But before we actually get to the depths of things, I also want you to thank. I wanted to thank you for actually, in all honesty, addressing this. This was a delicate operation. You know, when you were saying I was feeling, I'm sorry, please don't be hurt. I've folded all these pages, but anyway, um, as someone who's an expert, who's been on ground, recognizes how important this is, and saying I'm as connected, I think it takes a very masculine man to recognize the softness or the delicate process that you were in, like you've mentioned here in your own words, and put down that it is not okay for the media that was largely just moving around without recognizing the consequences because this is human life and not just another portion of making content. Um, For the media watching, for people who are running around with cameras now because we have access, you said they could smell blood. Journalists are sharks. I completely agree with you. I also think that in this modern day and age where we have all of us making content, I'm so thankful that you've penned it down like this. But can you explain to me what the impact could have been if these guys weren't careful or not had experts like yourselves around? Because I know the army was trying to make sure that everybody was well informed. But it
It
takes
was,
wisdom to
yeah.
recognize you have to be more careful about these things.
Yeah, so normally you're not allowed on a construction site unless you've been trained on all the special construction risks. And on this construction site, we had multiple rescue missions all concurrently being launched. And that meant there were vehicles and machines and equipment and what have you going in all different directions. And the media, they were like, they're sort of like little ants just running around everywhere, but not a clue how endangered their life was. And so when I promised that 41 men were going to be saved and none of us injured, it included the media. And so I was running around with the media saying, like, literally, if you can't see the driver of that big machine, they can't see you. They will run you over and they will not feel it. These machines are as big as a house. Like, they're huge machines. There's one news guy from, I don't want to mention the news channel, but it's in the QR code where he falls down a cliff while he's interviewing me and I have to catch him. So I actually lean out live Indian TV and I catch him and stop him falling down a cliff. And he's so brain dead that he can't recognize the fact that he might have just died. And he's still asking the question. And I've got his arm, this is on live television, and I'm saying, look, this is why it's so dangerous, right? This is cooperation. And so the media, because they need to get these stories, because they need to get their clicks, themselves are in huge danger. And I was so worried about them as well, because if anyone had died, my promise would have been broken, because I was promising no one gets hurt, not even the people who are trapped. So it was a pretty big promise. And luckily, they didn't. But it's there in the QR code. There's a picture of me catching a guy falling down a cliff.
No, no, no. I support this, and I'm so grateful because I think I was actually did a thesis on this one when also like the Bombay blasts were happening, and I feel like media, is just. I think when you call yourself a journalist, it also holds a responsibility. Like you're the president of the Tunnel Association, your responsibility is to make sure everybody is alive. But for the reporters, then, like you said, they smell blood. Are they being yeah, looking for clickbaits and say, oh, those many people have died, or this is what is happening on ground. But absolutely irresponsible behavior. And I'm so glad that there were people like yourselves, because otherwise, I mean, yeah, like the sharks are just, how are you not careful about your own lives? Especially when there are people looking for survival. You're added collateral damage at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, and they turned on me too. Initially, I was a bit of a novelty because I think I'm a sort of a plus size pink guy who flies in
No,
an
you're not
helicopter.
plus sized.
Well, anyway, I'm plus size compared with the guys who are doing the mining. I'm
Yeah.
like triple plus size. And when when all the machinery broke on about day, I don't know, about day 14 or day 15, and everyone was really sad, that's when they were really smelling the blood. And then they went from treating me really well to actually being quite savage towards me. And that media is also captured in the QR code because I felt that the book needed to capture that although I was always positive and always optimistic, it didn't mean that everything was great. It didn't mean that I wasn't having to face my own demons. And it didn't mean that things were looking grim, like really grim. And, by about day 14 or 15, when everything had broken, it looked like, it smelt like, and the press could smell it too, that they're going to die. And maybe they're already dead, maybe we're telling lies. Maybe it's the government conspiracy to pretend they're alive when they're already dead or something like that. And and so this is hard. And I mean, you use the term light at the end of the tunnel. I just stayed fixed on my promise that 41 men were going to come home alive and none of us were going to get hurt, and that we weren't going to rush. And again, the 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 recordings, the live recordings of me saying this are there. They're there, linked to the QR code, and I think that's one of the real strengths of this story. I'm not just saying it now in the luxury of my office sitting here in Australia. You can see me uncomfortable in dirty clothes
Yeah.
up in the mountains being hammered, and I'm still saying it, right? I'm just calm as a cucumber,
And
and I'm
saving
just,
lives of people who are actually risking your life while you're
yeah,
trying to save other people.
yeah.
Yeah, I think you've said it. I've said it. It's true.
Yeah, it's true. All of us were, like the whole team, all of us who were there trying to rescue those young men, we were all risking our lives 100% because anyone who knew what they were doing, and we all knew what we were doing, could see that in the area of the tunnel we were mounting our rescue with the auger and also potentially the drift, because also the army and myself, we were collaborating on another method as well. We could all see that it was collapsing. It wasn't that the tunnel had collapsed, the tunnel was collapsing. And we were trying to perform a rescue in a collapsing tunnel. And we know that that often catastrophically fails on us.
Yeah.
And yet we were going in there all the time because we felt that we could rescue these 41 men. And it's really hard to explain, but somehow we were all infected with this optimism, and we worked as a wonderful team, and we did the impossible, which gets back to the miracle thing that
We
you
can hold
we
that.
mentioned earlier. Okay.
Yeah. We hold that thought because I think to wrap up this particular segment, and the reason I brought this up was also because when I was in Australia, the racism narrative sort of flew around, and it's lasted India and Australia, I think, in the longest decade of whatever. And I think it's so important for you to be able to use this vehicle and your story and your truth to also point out that we need to learn from human mistakes, but also recognize that media narratives are being scripted. Like you said, we don't know, but on ground realities could be different. But the impact that that has had on students traveling to Australia, and the number of parents I've come saying, oh, but the Aussies are racist. And I was like, well, that one incident has blown out of proportion. They're the nicest people we know. They're our natural allies. They're natural friends. India and Australia are an extension of the same civilization. And one bad incident cannot reflect on an entire population, because now this man has come all the way, risking his own life, being part of a mission with people he has no idea he'd ever meet again, has a family, has a beautiful wife that he talks about in this book, and we'll also address that, but has risked everything to protect us. So thank you for being brave enough to put it down there. And I'm hoping that the journalists also learn, because every single day we're experiencing them becoming a bigger problem than the real problem. And I hope that people can learn how to be more responsible when they're on such situations. But now, uh,
No, no,
we're
wait. I've got, there's one thing though. Look, there's one little bit. The flip side of what you just said, I was warned when I was there up on the rescue, because I was a very visible face for the rescue, that if it failed, the mobs of Indian people who were there could quite probably kill me. And not only that, even if we were successful, they might be so happy that they all want to get like a bit of my hair and a tooth and a bit of my ear and kill me anyway. And so there's another narrative, which is the flip side to the Australian narrative, where the talk was that I should be scared to be in India, even being a public figure in the rescue.
yeah.
And of course, it's just untrue. It's just another narrative. It was fine, so I just didn't even entertain it.
Yeah, love that. And also, like, I think you've also been closely associated with the governments. There's so much narrative that is built around. I've been fortunate enough to not directly but closely work with the PMO's office, and I know that he was in charge of updates. And you may have had, I don't know, can you share your experience? Because this isn't about the leader that we have right now, but I genuinely think Modi ji for us in India has been the only prime minister who's invested in everything like it's his own family. I've experienced it. you may have an experience that you'd like to share?
There was no doubt in my mind that the Prime Minister was there at every meeting, even if you couldn't see him. And the Prime Minister's representative who was there was like a similar sort of character to your Prime Minister, really gentle, caring, really engaging. And I don't think anyone was in any doubt at all that there was, I don't know, to the top and at the bottom, everybody was invested in rescuing these young men, and I felt it. I felt it.
Okay. To the next question. Usually, I would perform a very simple, you reckon kindness towards others affects your well being and happiness and all of that. But because I'm with Arnold Dix and the question needs to reflect the honor, I wanted to also bring out then the science part of you. And I know that you can teach me. Science has formulas, physics has laws, and engineering has blueprints. But faith, Arnold, isn't measured, and yet it's moved people. It isn't calculated, and it builds human civilizations. I think I say this as proof of living in and being a product of, I think, the world's largest living civilization, if not for the forced partition. And it isn't logical. I get that. Yet, to one of the most methodical men on the planet, you stood in India at this event. You did not see any idol or anything, but you were told there's Kali and you wept. Um, in that moment, can you handhold me through what you're experiencing as someone who's never been to India, who doesn't understand our religion, who doesn't understand faith, Hindu, anything? I don't know. I don't know. Who is Arnold in that moment? What is happening to Arnold? Walk me through.
So yeah, so while I was flying to India, I was doing, as I would always do, my research because I'm a technical guy, and I saw a post in one of the local newspapers from the priests saying that the local gods were angry because the little temple at the front of the tunnel had been demolished on the first day of Diwali. Well, I better find out about this, I think. So I'm busy Googling as I'm zooming along at sub 1,000 kilometres an hour. And I learn about Diwali being the time when the gods wake. I figure out that I'm in the most sacred area on earth for the Hindu people. This is where the gods hang out. Like, okay. And then I stumble upon Kali, Ma Kali. And I've had decades of dealing with death. More death than you need to know about. More death than any normal human being needs to experience. And yet, death has been the one constant theme of my professional career. I touch it, I see it, I try and understand it, I try and learn lessons from it so that we don't have as much. Anyway, so I start learning about Ma Kali, and I discover that she's like a wife in a bad mood. I'm like, I know about that. And then I also discover through my readings that when Ma Kali's in a bad mood, death just happens, right? She gets a bit not impressed and just randomly kills people and just generally causes a whole lot of mayhem. And I'm like, oh my God, I know this girl. I've seen this. I've felt it.
Fetch
And I'm
her.
not just talking about at home in the kitchen. Yeah, I'm talking, like without wanting to say too much about it, like I attended the 9/11 collapse and looked at the tunnels under the Twin Towers. I've been to terrorist attacks. I investigate death. It's what I do. So I should probably be dressed in black, like I am Mr. Grim Reaper in a way. And then it struck me because I felt some weird connection to Kali because Kali, I could kind of immediately identify Kali. I'm like, oh, hang on, I know this girl. And then I thought, she hasn't decided. She hasn't decided because no one is dead. She hasn't decided. And this was like a revelation for me because normally when I'm dealing with death, everyone is dead or just about. And then no matter how hard I help, everyone else dies. No, it's like I can't influence the death. And and I can't do resurrections, right? That's not my thing. I can learn about death. I can't do resurrections. But they're alive. They're all alive. How can this be that they're all alive? And so I actually write to the chief engineer from the plane and I say, the first thing I want to do when I arrive is take me to the temple so I can pay my respects to Ma Kali.
Yeah.
And I've got it, it's on my phone. It's still on my phone. I can't believe it so here I am zooming along at 10,000 meters. I've just learned about Ma Kali. I've read about the priest. I'm like, I have to talk to this person. So the first thing I do is I bow down and say a few prayers at the little temple that's been resurrected while I'm flying there. And because your listeners are all best friends and I won't tell anyone else, I'll just, if you're interested, I'll tell you the two things I asked for, right? Secretly, because I probably shouldn't tell anyone. So Carly, if you're listening, shh, it's just
Between
okay.
friends. Yeah.
So yeah, just amongst friends. So I said to Mark Carly, I'm sorry that the little temple was destroyed. Those 41 kids that are stuck inside the mountain, they actually haven't lived their life. So could you let them come out so that they can laugh and cry and love and hate and, I don't know, do all the things that humans do, and you'll get them soon enough. You'll get them really quick. Like in the scheme of gods, you'll get them quick, just not now because they're just young kids, right? They haven't done anything wrong. So that was prayer number one, which was my promise that everyone would be rescued. So that was promise number one. And the second prayer I had was, look at me. I'm just an old guy. And all of us other rescuers, we're all like volunteers and things. We're all just helping. You're going to see us soon enough too, sooner than the young men. Like you'll see me real soon. Can you just let me go home to my family too? And you'll see me soon enough. And that was it. That was all I asked. And I think that mindset, that vision of what was required, that sense of what was at stake, that recognition right from the beginning that life had not been taken, that what had happened was the stage was set, the mountain's collapsing, there's air, we could get air in, we could get food in. It was still collapsing, but it hadn't totally collapsed. That there was room to do a deal, right? We actually had room. We had room to navigate and actually help the gods decide to let these kids come home and not kill us. Even the reporters. I didn't know about the reporters when I first prayed, but they became part of the us. And I think that was essential because that set the tone for everyone believing that we could rescue the 41 people. And I know, people ask me, well, not people ask me, I ask, what did I do at the rescue? Because I know, I just played one role of many roles. And consistently, the thing that I get told I did, and I was hoping it was going to be, you're a great engineer, or you're a great scientist, or something like that. But no, actually, what I got told was I gave people hope. And isn't that interesting? Like, I'm a technical person, and yet what I seem to be remembered for mostly is that I made or helped us all believe that we could do something which individually none of us knew how we would do, and all of us knew never normally happens. So that's so different. That's not the Arnold pre-rescue. That's a different Arnold. What's all that about? I don't know.
I'm getting goosebumps. I've listened to this. What is that?
That's part of the mountain. Look, I still have with me part this bit of the mountain that I took when we were doing the rescue. And when I'm talking about it secretly, I had it down here, I'm touching the mountain, because when I say I touch the mountain, if you look at the pictures of me when I'm doing my interviews, you will normally find in my hand this rock, because it's real. This is sort of like how I connect to reality. It's not a mind game. This was 41 real human beings trapped, almost certainly going to die, and probably us as well. So you have to keep it real. So I have my real piece of rock here.
Good.
Tell you, I'll
Good.
put it back away so you can't see it again.
No, keep it, keep it. I'm loving this. And again, so privileged. Like I said, I've read this, I've heard your story, I've been in your presence, and I can tell you it's large. Arnold, I don't know you before this happened, but your presence is volume. You take room, you take lots of room, and I'm not calling you big. Okay. But this is such an important conversation to have, because I think you're the first person ever in my entire life here in India, because a lot of the times the conversations, like, I think it sort of starts back with what you were saying, I've known what kindness is not. And through you, I'm also recognizing that when people come to India, or people who have actually, I genuinely think that a lot of people have not been blessed enough to touch the land of Bharat, the soil of Bharat. They don't get visas, or don't just come to India, or you get to travel but you don't get to be present, you don't get to experience it like you have. And because of that, I think there has been a myth where it says that if you go to a temple, it strips away your identity, and Hindutva or Hinduism is converting people. But from where I'm seeing it, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think you've been anchored deeply into remembering who you are, because, like you said, you walked over, you know that this woman, I get this girl, I understand. And she's literally brought you down to the softest part of Arnold, where I'm not seeing this as breaking down. I think I'm seeing it rebuild, because I've, I think, said this to you. I may be repeating myself, but you launching this book during Mahakumbh, the timeline of Mahakumbh, finding yourself in India, and then going back to Australia right before Holi. And you see how you're going to Diwali and then Mahakumbh, and then you come back and launch this birthday calendar of yours, which I'm really excited for you to share with people. I think, as an Indian who is exposed to the atomic sciences, and you've just triggered me to bringing out a little piece of knowledge from there with the Rig Veds behind you. In the Vedas, the Kannada, there is a Vaishya Shikha Sutras of 600 BC that confirms through their own physics and our own science in ancient Indian literature that atoms combine, dissolve, and reform, and a process of continuous destruction and rebirth happens. So, whether it's Shiva or whether we say it's rebirth, not this life, but I'm saying through you, I'm seeing a rebirth in you within this life. And so it's like an entropy of time and the continuous cycle of your regeneration, documented into this book. And so, yeah, it almost feels like what we're experiencing or what we're informed about our own religion is not a myth. It's real. It's the embodiment of how science has worked and more to it. So yeah, like, I think to be able to sort of then confirm what you were just talking about on also page 90 also goes back to that magic, because I'm being introduced to my own country and my own religion through this. But you also do say, because you've been, and I've never been, but you have, and you say in the Himalayas, it is positively alive. And you just actually brought up a piece of it, like you were holding it. It puts you in your place.
Yep.
You're delivered a heavy dose of humility. I'm listening to this, I'm getting goosebumps. I've been fighting all these narratives all my life by Delulu people saying if I put a face marking or wear a moli, or like if I worship idols, I'm going to be converted. Arnold, from a person who's experienced coming back home to yourself.
I just think it's all the nonsense is actually in being worried about all of that. I think the nonsense is as best I understand it, Hinduism is a way of life. It's a way of existing in the present and attaching perhaps to the future and the past and everything concurrently. And there's lots of narratives and stories. I mean, but I don't feel converted. I don't feel like I'm still me, and I just feel very sensitive or sensitized to more than just my science and engineering. And I love my science and engineering. But I'm so struck by your ancient texts, for example, that at the moment I'm learning Sanskrit. And I've even, I mean, not only am I learning it, I even, well, I
Speak it.
think you might have even heard me. I even
Yeah.
tried to speak some. And my guru's now got me doing the very basic stuff. And I don't know, actually, I don't know if you'll be able to hear it, but I have my I've got my vowels and consonants that I'm learning. And now, why would I do that? Well, the reason is I want to read these documents in Sanskrit. I don't want to read them through an interpreter. So I'm going to learn. But that doesn't make me, I think, a convert. Like I'm not. I don't feel like I'm converted to anything. I just feel like I'm just alive to everything. It's just different. That's it. So I'm not scared, and I'm not. I don't claim to be a religious person. Like, and I think in the book you'll see that. All I claim in the book is I don't know. I don't know what's going on here. I'm just going for a ride, and I'm curious. That's why I call myself playful, curious, and alive. I'm curious, and the scientist in me would be denied if I pretended the things that happened didn't,
Yeah.
because they did. They did happen. And as a scientist, I have to recognize what I see, hear, touch, because they're scientific method, observational method. So,
Yeah.
okay.
Which is why I said I think it's really brave of you to put this book together with the experience that you have. You're best known to be a methodical man. You're
Yeah.
logical. You're as macho as men get, and here you are in India saying go soft.
Yeah.
Like
100%.
when do you tell men to go soft? Can you like
Yeah.
tell us that experience and that as well before we jump into the rapid fire then?
Yeah. Well, that was it. I mean, that was at the heart of my advice. So, the technical advice I gave in the end, summarized, and often in these words were, if you have a choice between hard and soft, go soft. And if you have a choice between fast and slow, go slow. And the engineers would go, what? Like, come on. We've got a mountain that is on the verge of collapsing on us all. And it is actually collapsing. And if it continues to collapse in this way, if it accelerates, it will kill us all, kill us, kill the people on the other side. So go soft. Come on. And that was when I'd go into the tunnel and I'd touch the rocks, because I'm very much a touchy feely kind of guy. Even the scientist engineer, I'm touchy feely. That's just how I am. I'd touch the rocks, I'd sit there, I'd listen to it, smell it, taste it, and I'd be like, yeah, we just got to keep it happy. Just keep this mountain happy. And that means slow and soft. But of course, a lot of men, I know, I'm a man and I know about this, they think the tough thing is big, big muscles, and we're going to go biggest machine and we're going to go the toughest. But no, this is to be the best person here. It's like being a surgeon without anesthetic. So we have to go softly and not wake the patient. Just gentle, soft. Yeah. So that was my advice.
Love. I just want to like stay and like keep staring and like just being in this moment, but because of the format, I just have to behave and be more human. But we'll get
Okay.
it. No, but I love that, and I'm saying this from also this person who has been able to understand and communicate. I think I can safely say this for you. You've been able to communicate with not just any woman, Kali. You've been able to listen to and breathe and live and be vehicled by Kali, because what happened there, like clearly, highest tunnel ever built in the world at 10,000 feet. It's like you also said, the bedrock. It's a sea bedrock. It's not a rocky tunnel. The rocks there are soft. And you had challenges where everybody was looking against you. There were 41 people. You've never known anyone to come out alive from a tunnel, and yet here you are bringing everyone alive enough to write this book and then do your birthday calendar. The birthday calendar is fascinating. It's a gift from, I think, Australia to the world, from your backyard. celebrating the alive. I love that. Like, I think one of the reasons I'm doing this podcast is to be able to sit down with ourselves on a day when we're not really feeling it, which is all of us all the time. That I just go back to this interview and say, hey, Arnold, see, this is who you are. Like, with your own coffee mug in your backyard if you're not having a good day. But you're actually going taking this leaps forward and saying, I've built a birthday calendar. Do you want to share
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. So traveled the world and seen lots of monuments to gods and um, kings and queens and all the rest of it. But it struck me that the most important people that you really should honour are the living.
Yeah.
They're
While
like, hello,
yeah.
like, yeah. So I set about building a huge, I call it my birthday machine, where I take obelisks, so big rocks between 5 and 10,000 kilograms, and I position them on the horizon at the position the sun will rise on the birthday of people who are alive and I care for. So it's like my mum and my brother and my sister, my children, everybody, they get a rock. And it's just lovely. It's a celebration of life. So it's not a, oh my goodness, such and such King Farquhar, the whatever has died. Oh, the world will never be the same. No, bullshit. This is celebrate the people who are alive today, right?
I love that.
And I'm doing it now. And every morning I go out there and I take my pictures of the sunrise because I'm always so amazed that the sun gets around the world and pops out the other side. And I just love each new day and I find it incredibly optimistic. And so I've built this big birthday machine.
Oh, I love it. Like, I thought I was the only person excited about my birthdays, but Arnold, you've just stopped it. Like, just stopped it for everyone. This is great. And before we move on to the kindness quick start part, because you're Australian, I'm Indian, I also want to sort of highlight the role that India and Australia have played in each other's growth journey. I think we've shared traumas, we've also built resilience together. And I genuinely, having lived in both parts of the world, and I'm sure you can have your own opinion, I think we're the kindest people there are in the world, hospitality wise, irrespective of what life is throwing at us, irrespective of the politics. India from Australia, Arnold, and vice versa. What lessons vis a vis kindness can we learn from each other in fostering a sense of connection and community in our increasingly interconnected yet very impersonal world that we're living in?
I think it's just accepting people for who they are. And so it's not about anyone wanting another person to be like them. So when I was in India, I didn't ask everybody to do their engineering problem solving like I would do it. I just became part of the Indian team. Um, I didn't ask everybody to speak in English. I was just really happy that they spoke to me at all. Uh, I didn't like. I just just kind of, I think kindness is just like, just fit in, like get over yourself and just accept that in the end all of us want some security in our homes. We want a future for our children. We want to lead a purposeful life. We want justice. We want education. Like the basic things are all the same, and all the rest of it's just froth and bubbles and silliness. It's really easy, I think. Really, really easy.
There's a reason you're on my kindness podcast, and it keeps getting better with every answer. On to the quick start for kindness. Are you ready? These are you're
Oh,
going to have to be very playful, very quick. Will not get too much time. Now,
okay.
the only catch here is, Arnold. Usually, I would ask people the question. With you, because there is a pre Uttarkashi and a post Uttarkashi version, I will try and maybe expand on my
Okay.
kindness. Right?
Yeah, I'm
Ready?
ready.
Okay. Do you have
Okay.
a good kindness quote or a motto that inspires you?
No,
Why?
because I just feel it. I think being kind doesn't actually reduce to words. I think it's a state of mind. So there are no words. And I really hate people who have pictures like on their walls of like little kind sayings and stuff. It's like, oh no, don't put it on a coffee cup or on the wall. Feel it. Just feel
It's
it for
a
goodness sakes.
emotion. Yeah, it's a whole emotion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Thank-
100%.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Anand. If
that's it.
kindness had a
No
color,
worries.
what color would it be and why?
Green because it's the color of life.
Okay, and does it change? And this is my Arnold special quick start question. Does this change when faced with crisis or disaster? In those moments, how does the color evolve? Does it go darker, merge? What's going on? Or does it still stay green?
So you asked me. So when I'm in a disaster, I go into a different space, and in that space, it's not about color. It's something different. It's not about sound either. It's very much a state of mind, and weirdly, in my mind, I can create like as if there's eyes inside my head. I can create patterns and colors, and I can just create spaces in my head. So, but it's not really color. It's something more than that. It's like a It's like a just a hugeness, and yeah. So it's not even a color. It's
I love that.
something more.
I love that because, like I said, I usually would ask people one thing, and then now I knew you were going to say something as profound because there has been, you know something larger than most of us. So we're going to do so. Green changes to pattern. Yeah, green changes to pattern.
Yeah, pattern and a feeling. Like color becomes like how color can have intensity and color can have texture and
Radiance.
color.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
kindness were a food, what would it taste like? Texture, description, everything.
It would taste like pure water. So kindness for me, I collect the rain water where I live. I'm not connected, and there's something about the water that I drink here. It's it's the tasteless taste of water. It's the softness of water that you collect in the rain. It's so that pure water, and I don't mean through an osmotic treatment process. No, no, no. I mean pure water falling from the sky. To me, that's kindness. And one of the things I love to do, well, I can't do it on your podcast, if no one's around, is just to run around in the rain,
Oh, I love that.
preferably.
But I'm not surprised that you and I have those things in common. We are, oh my God, I'm obsessed with it.
Yeah, there's something. Like it's like the universe is showering you in kindness. You feel it, you're immersed in it, and
Very
it's
true.
just
Yeah.
lovely.
But does that change again in a survival situation or in moments of extreme exhaustion? What does that feel like? What is that emotion like for you?
No, it's still the same. I find sanctuary in it.
Hmm.
So the world spins around me, but the calm is still there.
Okay. If kindness were a sound, what sound would it be and why?
The kindest sound I've ever heard is the sound of the air at dawn and dusk up on the mountains at Silkyara. There's a breeze that comes just on dawn and dusk through the trees, and it's like a whisper. It's like the mountains are breathing, and I was really struck by it when I was there, and even when I was there just a few weeks ago, I was there again on both dawn and dusk, and it's like the mountains are breathing or whispering, and that's it for me. That sound, till the day I die, that particular pitch, that particular tone, that particular whisper that I've only heard there,
Yeah.
that's it. That's kindness.
Yeah. Okay. Would you rather have the ability to make people instantly burst into laughter or instantly feel loved and cared for? Which one are you choosing and why? Fast or
Laughter.
hard? Okay.
Laughter. I want laughter. And the reason I want laughter is loved and cared for to me gets a little bit mushy and a little bit like
You
not
like
animated enough.
touchy. I thought you were a touchy, mushy guy.
I am, but laughter is alive. Like laughter, if you're laughing, you are alive. If you're laughing, you feel loved. As long as it's not that nasty laughing at someone else. That's not
Oh,
my style.
thank you for pointing that
Yeah.
out. Yes, I have
Yeah.
seen that, did not like it. In fact, I think the emotion inside me changed. I don't know why, I've actually been in this space where I recognized that someone was laughing at somebody else.
Yeah.
who was actually trying to make this person laugh. And so they were actually trying to make this person who ended up laughing at this person, they were trying to actually make them feel calmer and more relaxed. And I don't know why, but in that moment, I felt smaller when I realized that this guy actually didn't pick up what's happening, but he ended up laughing at this guy. Like, he actually went out of his way to make a moment of happiness for you, and you ended up laughing at him. Which I don't know. Yeah, well, okay, this is not my rapid fire.
Yeah.
Kindness for a command, how would you give it?
That's it.
Well,
That's my
you can,
command. Well,
yeah. Has it
well,
worked?
what else am I going to do? I can't tell someone to be kind. I have to, in an action, I
Yeah,
have to be a little vulnerable. I have to be a little soft. What better than to blow a kiss? Is that
yeah.
surely that's that's being kind. That's how I do it.
Blow a kiss, yes. And if kindness was, say, for example, a superpower, what sort of super ability would you like for it to have on you and why?
Oh, the superpower kindness. Just so that everyone could laugh at themselves.
Hmm.
The power, if I was a superpower kindness, right, bzzzt, I would want to beam it round the world so everybody who took themselves so seriously would actually go to the mirror expecting to go, I am, and just start laughing at themselves and just recognizing in themselves the stupidity of taking themselves so seriously and just have a good day. Like, come on, we can do this.
Arnold, again, not surprised. And for nobody knows this, Arnold and I have a thing. It just sounds amazing. But this was my next question because this is my podcast and you already answered it, like most of my questions that you always take up and answer before I ask. But I will still ask this for my audience and to maintain format. This is my podcast. I'm the boss. Nobody questions me. So if I were to make you my international kindness ambassador, the that thing, congratulations on that new role. You've already answered that in that capacity, you would want people to laugh at themselves, go into the mirror. That's what they're doing. Yeah, I know, I know. There's a
Yeah,
reason why
beats
you're
my
not.
wand.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're like
yeah, yeah,
channeling Mallika, channeled.
yeah, yeah.
What are
Have a
you
bit of a
calling this?
laugh.
You mean
Oh, it's just my rock, but it's interesting because you see the shape of the rocks up there in the mountain. They're shaped a little bit like a pen. Like they fit in your hand. They're hand shaped. See how they
Yeah,
fit?
but Arnold, I don't
And
think you realize not everybody is blessed enough to be carried into those mountains to experience what you're holding. Yeah.
that's true. I'm just showing. Look, there you are. Anyone
Thank
with a 3D printer, you can quickly whip one up for yourself.
Free ideas. No, but to end up that to wrap up that question, what are you calling this day then? Because you're my international kindness ambassador or the whatever power you have. What day are you choosing or timeline in the year, and what are you making sure people don't do on this day? Because you're my international kindness ambassador, minister, portfolio, perform.
Oh well, as the I, I'm going to declare this no more wars today for a
Oh,
start. So I don't on Kindness Day we're not going to have any more wars. I'm going to ask all the soldiers to stop shooting the other soldiers. Can you please just for the day stop doing that? What else am I going to ask? I think just for them to all look in the mirror and go, really? Do we really hate everybody like this? I don't think so. You know, I travel the whole world and I meet very, very few people, maybe one or two in my whole life, who I think are horrible. Actually, everyone I meet are really lovely, but often they're forced into positions where they do uncomfortable things. So I've got huge faith that actually everyone is kind. They just need the confidence just to be a decent human being. So maybe that's what I do as your ambassador. I say to everyone, don't listen to any advice from me. Listen to yourself. Look in the mirror. Don't take yourself too seriously and ask yourself, what would the 5-year-old version of you want you to do today? What would the child in you want you to do today? Because I betcha that would be kind. I betcha that'd be doing the right thing. Because I think we come programmed to do the right thing and then we kind of get lost. That's what I'll do on my ambassador day. So look at the 5-year-old version of you and ask, what am I going to do today, 5-year-old version of me?
To the man who has now come back to the 5-year-old version of you, having
Yep,
had
look,
the experiences you
look
had.
at this.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's talking from experience, not just tunnels, but tunneling himself. Arnold, I really do not want to end this, but because I'm extremely conscious of the energy exchange and I want it to be mutual, before I make you feel depleted, which is not the intent, this is your moment to either give me feedback or ask me a question so I can pour right back into you before we end this podcast. Sadly, I've had so much fun. I don't want to end this. That's okay, my anyway. Over to you.
Okay, just keep doing this because there's a need to express the fact that kindness is not an easy or soft option. Kindness, yeah. No, kindness is a tough option as you get older, probably tougher as you get older. And that, so I'd say just keep, I'd encourage you to be a voice of this message. Kindness isn't weak. Kindness isn't for, yeah, kindness, it is much harder to be kind than it is to be a, actually everyone expects, like, because I'm a 6 foot tall male, everyone expects me to be really big and tough and all the rest of it. It is much harder for me to be a decent human being and to encourage other men around me and other women as well, because they don't get off, and a few not so kind ones of them as well, to actually encourage them to do the more difficult thing, to be honest and kind. And I think we have to talk about that. It's not easy. Not easy.
Really
Yeah. So
glad
that's what I'd say.
that. Thank you for your feedback. I will do my best. I know that kindness is really hard to embody every day, but we have ambassadors like yourself who are breaking boundaries, who are teaching me how to be kind in that large body, in the body that you are in, which I think is a perfect you size. So you're not big, you're not peach, you are beautiful. From
Oh,
someone who's
thank
been in
you.
your
Thank you.
presence, I really, really, really am so grateful that we've crossed paths in this lifetime, and your contributions have been significant. So, without
Thank
any further ado, we will put this to an end. But everyone, please get your hands on this book. This isn't just about tunnels, this is about tunneling your inner darkness and finding the light through every chapter, and also learning from the expert how to not panic, but also, yeah, be in
And remember the QR code at the end. QR code, really important. Yeah.
Oh, I thought I was not gonna. Yeah, so there is a QR code. There's a lot of information here. I mean, like, I've read this book so many times. I've highlighted so many things. There's such a beautiful chapter on you and your wife, and oh, I love how you talk about her. I'm actually manifesting a man like that in my life who says the moment she walked in, the room was filled with her presence, and it's never been the same. Anyway, this isn't about me, Arnold. Thank you so much for being on this podcast.
I'll look around. Isn't it arranged? We can do that. That's an Indian thing. I'll arrange
Okay.
one. I'll look.
You've
I'll
hung
see if I
out
can
with
find one.
me. You've hung
Yeah,
out with me. I
I
think
have. You're a good catch. I'll find someone. It's okay.
no, but I'm also thank you. But apart from being a good catch, I think the fact that I am now witness to someone would walk through Delhi traffic to meet me for dinner. I'm exposed to that as a reality now. Match that or better, and then maybe I'll consider it.
I've set the standard high, but you're worth it. So there you go.
Very much. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Arnold.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.